Yeah.
Thank you. I'm
Hello,
sorry again.
everyone. My name is Jowan Safadi. I am a Palestinian musician. I don't know how many of you know me, but I've been singer-songwriter for nearly 30 years by now. I play with many genres. Some you can call it like multi-genre or a fusion of many aspects of music. I don't limit myself to one genre. Um, but I create what you can call, or what I call, free Arabic rock, a genre that is free enough not to be rock, and I want something else, and free enough not to be Arabic either. But it's mostly these two main elements that are combined, Arabic rock, that I like. So I also experiment with electronic music and with different kinds of arts, but I am mostly known for my lyrics. I have written many songs over the years, some of which made it to the top of the charts, and some made it to the news of national television and international television stations as well. And some got me into trouble, some got me into prison, and interrogations, hate mail, death threats, you name it, all because of my lyrics. So today we'll speak about lyrics, basically. I'm here to do that.
We can't hear you very well, Joan. I
No?
think.
Again?
No, we hear corrupted.
How about now? Good?
Yes, it's not very clear.
Maybe I take this out. Let's see.
Seems a bit far away.
Let me see. Just a moment. How about now?
Yes, it's better now.
It seems better. Yeah. Thank you.
This is better. Okay, this is better for me too. Okay, so today we'll talk about lyrics, but as I understood that not all of you write lyrics, and I don't know what are the levels of each one of you and what kind of lyrics you want to write or what you want to learn in this workshop or this meeting. But I will go through the general things, and I will leave room for questions. I think that should be also like a long part of our meeting. I'll leave it for the questions so that you can all actually really benefit from this meeting, because there's so much to say about lyrics and so very little that we can put in 1 hour or 1.5 hours. But I will not really focus on writing techniques. I will give some, but you can find those on the internet, many of them at least. I'll try to give what you can find on the internet from my own experience. But we will start with answering the question of why does lyrics matter really? Why does it matter? And you all hear me? Are you okay?
Yes.
So, what is lyrics as we know it? What's the difference between lyrics and poetry, for an example? Poetry has its rules. Lyrics, what has is the kind of poetry that comes with melody or a beat nowadays. And that combination of words and music makes it catchy, makes it memorable and stick in our head. You know, to memorize a full album is much easier than to memorize a full book. And that's the power of music, our songs, lyrical songs, that have this ability or this potential to create a big influence because of this combination of lyrics, of words and music. That's why I think we should give special attention to writing lyrics, because of the potential of making a big influence. We remember these words that we hear with music much more than we remember any other spoken text, you know, if it's on the news or if it's anywhere you hear it, it's different. When you hear it with music, it sticks. And that's how it creates, it's a big part of our consciousness of what we know, what we memorize and what we quote and what we speak sometimes is coming from songs. And for the same reason, we learn languages easier from songs. You know, I learned my English mostly from songs. And so lyrics has this power to communicate to the people and stay with them. And that makes it a very strong aspect of music. I mean, of course, we can all enjoy instrumental music, but no instrument can really say the details that lyrics can say when they come out from a singer's mouth and make a point that we all can relate to. It's true that music is the universal language, but lyrics is the language of music, is the language that is combined with music. And it makes it very strong and makes it very specific. We are able to say a lot of details that we can't say with instruments. We can say them with words. And that's why, as you can see, lyrics have survived the evolution of music, even with electronic music and with every music, lyrics is still there. We still use the human voice. We love the human voice and we love to hear familiar words with it. And this is good to keep in mind when you're making music. Now, not all music has to be lyrical, of course. It can be instrumental. But if you're gonna write a lyrical song, I honestly think we all should pay attention to the words we choose and the way we put them together. It is almost dangerous, I can say. And it is a responsibility of people who deal with this craft, with writing lyrics to songs, to edit them in a way that you can really stand behind them afterwards. And I'm not saying this to complicate it or to say that it's such a sophisticated thing. It doesn't have to be. It's just like speaking. Lyrics, after all, is talking, but with more emphasis on the melody. When we talk, we already have a melody, right? But when you put more music to it, when we talk, it has more melody, you know, and it becomes more catchy. So language and speaking is the same like lyrics, in that sense that we can have troubles sometimes or face accountability because of things we say. And the same way we have to deal with our lyrics. We have to watch what we say. And I'm not saying this to tell you to censor yourself, which you probably do, and I do. But I am saying this just to emphasize the fact that lyrics is responsibility, because it has the potential to shape consciousness of people, of your followers, of your listeners, and sometimes it can stay for generations. And of course, it depends how you use it. Personally, I use lyrics as well, not only for art, but also for artivism, which is art and activism. And I think that's where responsibility comes in most, that's more valid and relevant when we talk about political songs or songs that have opinions and songs that can incite people or move people to do things or to believe in things or say things. So, this being said, it's not that hard. It's not that complicated, and it doesn't have to be. Again, it's just like we speak. We just have to make our speaking a little bit more artistic, more fit with the songs, with the melodies, and with the beats that we make. with the way that we sing, we have to take care of all these aspects. But songs really don't have to be too complicated. It just has to be, in my opinion, genuine, simple. Let's take examples of very easy lyrics and simple that sticks forever. I don't know how many of you know the song by Black Sabbath or by Ozzy Osbourne, actually, that goes like, I feel unhappy, I feel so sad, I lost the best friend I ever had. It's very simple, 4 lines, yeah. But I think many of us, billions, have experienced this feeling of losing somebody and feeling unhappy and feeling sad. It's not a new feeling for anyone, but we all associate it with Ozzy Osbourne, or I do, or people who know this song associate with Ozzy Osbourne because he put it in a song. And that song comes in handy for people who share the same feeling. You don't feel it now, but when you lose somebody and suddenly you hear this song, it will ring a bell and will touch the right nerve. And that's the kind of ideas you sometimes have to keep in mind when you're writing lyrics. What do I want to say? Who do I want to say it to? Why? What do I want my lyrics to do? Now, let's take other examples of lyrics that have a strong impact or that lasted so long. I am a classical person. I mean, I come from a generation of singer-songwriters and folk singers and political musicians. So most of my examples are going to be from that world. But of course, you can, recall your own memories and your own songs and the stuff that you hear, and you find examples of what we're talking about today. Simple lyrics that is catchy enough and that is strong enough, like the line that says, a working class hero is something to be, by John Lennon. I don't know how many of you know this song, but that song is a very
Jowan,
yeah, you hear me? You lost me? You still hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
You hear me? Okay. It was a phone call that I declined. Okay, sorry. So John Lennon sings working class hero, and the chorus goes, working class hero is something to be. Every time just he describes the situation and then comes back to the same line, emphasizing this point that lasted for about 60 years now since he died. And we still repeat this and feel it, or the answer, my friend, is blown with the wind by Bob Dylan. Just a small sentence, So now, when we talk about all these examples, we think of classic songs that are, of course, by great writers that have made it till this day, and we still remember them and still do cover songs of them. But it's not necessarily, I mean, that a good lyrics, good lyrics when you hear it. There is not really one way to describe it or to say this is good or this is bad, but you know it when you hear it. I'll give you an example I heard on the radio the other day while I was driving. A song came on with a chorus that says, you're only as pretty as you feel. You're only as pretty as you feel inside. And that chorus kept repeating and repeating till it got in my head and got me thinking and got me feeling pretty inside. And I didn't know the singer. Until now, I don't know. I can search it up and look it up and see who that is and hear the song again. But it's stuck. And it's very hard to get something to stay with us in our mind these days when there's so much data going on. We are exposed to so much information that it's hard to remember anything really, or to focus on anything. But a song with good lyrics and a good melody that comes with it have this strength really to get over all the other noises and stay with us. After we turn off our phones, we go to bed, a song can stay. And that is, again, why I think lyrics matter. So, before we can talk about how to write lyrics, let's try to define what we think a good lyrics is, because I don't think there is one common universal description of what good lyrics is. But in my opinion, there are certain factors that make good lyrics or more appealing lyrics, like if it's catchy, if it's genuine, if it's simple, if it's relatable, if it has a way to make us smile sometimes, like wit or funny or ironic, sarcastic, but mostly relatable, mostly something that we can feel, oh yeah, I know what that is like. It's the same reason why you laugh at stand-up comedy, for an example, because the jokes they're saying is something you've been through. You just didn't know how to put it in these words or to put it with that punchline, but it's experiences that we all experience. And the same thing with lyrics. Good lyrics is the one that you can say, oh yeah, too, that's true, that you can agree with that feeling, or it can make you think or make you feel something. But how do we write lyrics? And I'm going to talk about that today, because I understand that some of you, at least half of you, write lyrics, or at least want to write lyrics. And I think the answer to this question applies to all forms of arts, which is, first of all, writing lyrics is expressing ourselves with words that we want to sing later on. So to express ourselves is one skill, but the other skill before that is to enrich ourselves, to have something to express, because many people can write, but they don't have something to write about. You know, writing can be practiced by trying so much to write time after time. Eventually you will learn how to write, but what to write about, this is probably the bigger question. And in my opinion, content comes out when content comes in. So we need to, in order to learn how to write, we need to learn how to read, and to read everything that we like and we're interested in, with a special focus on lyrics. If we want to write lyrics, we need to read a lot of lyrics. And I say read lyrics, and I don't mean listen to lyrics. You can listen to lyrics, of course, that will help. But reading lyrics gives you a different perspective at it, in a way that you can actually learn it time after time. So to read a lot and to try to write a lot, that also helps. I want you to think of writing as two different parts. Yeah, we have to divide the process of writing in two different parts to make it easier for us if we understand how our mind works. Yeah, because most of the creativity comes from a place that is more subconscious. It's not our conscious mind. Of course, we can use our minds, but when we are less awake, actually, we are more creative. That's why we dream, and that's why we, we can gaze. When we're a little sleepy, we can gaze and go with thoughts and come up with visualizations or pictures and ideas and new concepts, and lyrics as well. A lot of my lyrics comes when I just walk and don't think at all, you know. So actually, the first tip I would give you is not to think or not to overthink when you want to write lyrics. Just write whatever comes to mind or whatever just comes to the paper, even if it doesn't make sense. And that would be the first stage of writing lyrics. The second stage is editing. And that's where you use your mind. That's where when you need to be more awake and in your full mental abilities. So when you're editing, you can take everything into account. You can change the word, you can follow create a rhyme and follow the beat and everything. But in the first stage, in the more flow and more creative part, just throw everything out on a paper every day. Just wake up, when you wake up before the coffee, just start to write everything you want. And then just afterwards take like surround the good line here or a good line there with circles and just edit them and make a song out of them. You will find many ways to write songs, I mean, and many shapes of songs, like structures of songs that you can experiment with. Practice will eventually make a very good writer if you really Consistency is the key here. And simplicity, don't overcomplicate. Now, just a moment. After we flow with this and write things that even don't make sense, we will need to ask ourselves the right questions in order to make sense out of it. The editing part can start from questions such as, what am I trying to say? And who am I trying to say this to? And why? What do I, the question of what, who, and why, for me, is the key for editing any lyrics. You can write any idea or just any word or bunch of words on a paper, and then when you have these questions in your mind, you can start playing with these words and adding and changing their places in a way that they start to serve your message or what you're trying to say. It doesn't have to be a message, by the way. So this is how we can write with a purpose, with intention. We don't always have to do that, but this is a way to edit. There are songs that would come out from the melody. You will start with the melody and you can then add lyrics to it. But what do you sing over the melody when you don't have lyrics? And this is the fun part. And I think you should sing whatever you want. I mean, words that don't make sense, and record yourself. If you do that, you sing with gibberish, yeah? And then afterwards, you listen to this gibberish and see try to figure out what your soul is actually trying to say. I do this trick, and I wrote actually many songs in this way. I don't know if there is a link where I can send you some to show it, so you can hear, and you can then see how this is actually written with this technique. Yeah, and maybe I'll distribute this technique just a little bit so that you can you understand what I'm talking about. Okay, like let's just say we take I'll just play around with two chords, yeah, and then I will flow with it. Just throw words that not necessarily make sense. I will try to make sense, but I will not try too hard. I will let my mind flow as if I was high or something, or like going crazy. This is also key. Freeing your mind and enabling yourself to be, allowing yourself to be crazy, to go crazy, is the key to make unique music and unique art, in my opinion. Again, this is my technique. So let's say I take this, just a riff of two chords. I'll make it right now. So if I record this shit, I didn't say a word that means anything, okay? All this was gibberish. But gibberish allows me to escape the limitation of lyrics, because lyrics can easily limit you. You know, you have a musical idea and then you're stuck without lyrics. And while trying to continue with the music, you're just stopping all the time to think of what am I trying to say and what is this. You can't flow when you think about lyrics easily. So what I did here is flowing with no words. And then you can listen to this lyrics or to what I just said. I record it. I can record it and listen back and try to find words that are similar to the sounds that I made and put them together. And then in the editing process, I try to make something out of them. Okay. This is a unique technique. I don't know anyone really doing it, but I think it served me in many ways and so far. And of course, it's a very helpful way of not only creating lyrics, but creating melodies. Okay, I did it with a guitar, but you can do it using a beat or using any instrumental music. You can put it on YouTube or wherever you find it, you know, just record yourself saying anything. No one in the house, just it's important that no one hears you so that you can go as free as you can without anything stopping you, not even your thoughts. You will find it hard. It won't be easy because you are not used to letting yourself go this much. But once you do and you break this barrier, the options are endless. The same way we did with music here, we can do with lyrics by just throwing words like تعبان مش عارف شو اساوي بدي انحن بدي اساوي بدي امشي بديش شجر بديش كلاب بديش ناس بدي اساوي بلعب بدي and so on, just gibberish and just throw words, flow with it as much as you can throw, and then try to edit it. Listen to yourself, listen to your thoughts, listen to your feelings, ask yourself these questions, ask yourself what I feel. What do I want to say? What do I think about this? And write it down. One of the ways I used to write a song sometimes is think of what I want to say to myself, you know, and sometimes even write a letter to myself. And if you want, we can try this trick together, in which I will ask you to write a letter to yourselves. Each one just take a line or not a line, something to say to yourself. Try to make it in 4 lines. Yeah, doesn't have to rhyme at this stage. It doesn't have to rhyme. Just say to yourself something in 4 lines. Something that doesn't matter what it is. If it's positive or negative or whatever. I'll give you an example. I think I wrote an example somewhere here. Yeah. So I wanted to say, let's say I want to say to my ex, I'm confused and I need time. Okay. This is what I want to say. Now, how do I say in this in 4 lines? I already made it, and I made it with some kind of rhyme. But this is, for me, it's almost natural. Everything I write now comes with rhymes, right? You can do this later when you edit this, but in the beginning, just write something to yourself. In my case, this is my example. It said, sorry, I let you down. I'm just a little confused. I think I need some time before I can really choose. These are my 4 lines. Now I want 4 lines, not necessarily like this from you, what you're trying to say to yourself. This was I'm saying to someone else. But yeah, let's try this. I give you 2 minutes That's 120 seconds. Just think about it as if you want to write a letter to yourself. How many are done? I don't really see anyone. Okay. Anyone wants to share with us what they wrote? Please. Recons? I can't hear you. Can you please unmute Recons?
Do you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, yes. Yeah, too many things inside my head. I can see like yo, listen to my vision. People like to see more than like to listen. People like to talk more than television. People choose and lose without taking any decision. Yes, this is my vision.
Cool. You wrote this right now?
No, I have too many things in my head. I can say like, focus on me, don't be yourself. Yeah, I mean, like, I can write anything now. Huh?
Good. Okay, I want an example of someone who just thought about something that they want to say to themselves now and wrote it, not a song.
Yeah. Speak of speech. Now say what you feel.
Yeah. Can I have another example? Someone? Anyone else? Please, Ruba.
سامعني? Can you hear me?
Yes.
It's in Arabic. If you want, I can translate. So
Do
I
it.
wrote,
Yeah.
لكل نهاية في بداية، بهاي الحياة والحياة الآخرة لف ودوري زي الكوكب زي الشمس.
Good one. Thank you. So we don't have time, of course, to listen to all the examples, but as we can say, we all have something to say to ourselves. Always, because you speak to yourself every day. I hope you do, because if you don't, there is no way you can write. This is the key, to speak to ourselves and to listen to ourselves. And then we can sing to ourselves as well. Use this trick of writing a letter to yourself. Maybe every day, maybe every second day, or whenever you need. Write a letter to yourself. And then you can take this letter and see if there is beauty in it, or is a line or two that you can actually turn into a verse or a chorus, and take it from there. Editing is the most important part here. You almost never stop editing lyrics until you go and record it. I go in the last day before, seconds before I record, I'm still changing lyrics, because I always grow and always find ways to make it better, you know. And you should always strive to make your lyrics the best you can. Speak to yourself and speak to others in your mind. What I mean by that is there should be no writer's block when it comes to lyrics writing, again, because it is coming, it's not different from talking. We always have something to say. That's why we talk all the time. You know, we don't stop talking because we have something to say. And sometimes we think that we didn't get enough time to say what we had to say. All we need is to take what we have to say and focus it, you know, put it in the right shape, in the shape of a song. Just write down normal stuff that you talk about. If you're writing about politics, or if you're about society, or about gender, or about emotions, or about pain, or whatever you want to write about. Before, just like you speak it, like you say it to a friend, write it down, and then after you've written everything, look at it with the editor's eye and start doing the craft of taking this line, putting it with this one, and then try to change this word so that it have a rhyme with that word, and so on. You know this, how to do all that. That's basically the main idea. It is asking yourself after you write, who am I writing to? What am I trying to say, and why? Once you have the answers for all these questions, you can start moving in the right direction with your words. And again, it's always important to read lyrics. We don't know how to write a book without reading many books. We would never know how to speak without listening to our parents and to our family speaking to us. And listening to our mother's language for years until we master it. It's not different with lyrics. Again, it's language. It's a skill you learn by listening, by reading, and by trying and trying and trying and never stop trying. Only thing I can say, I am not the same writer I was 20 or 30 years ago or 10 years ago. I always keep evolving naturally because I get more experience all the time. Now, there are short ways for getting the same experience more or less in less time than having to wait for decades. And the best way is reading. Because when you read, you're exposed to the experience of everyone else. And what comes in will have to come out eventually with your editing. So if all of the art aspects or stages mainly happening in our head, imagination, impression, thinking, feeling, philosophy, beliefs, creativity, everything is in our head. So if it's all coming out of our head, we can only improve it by improving what we get into our head. That's the material that we use to craft our songs from. At the end of the day, it's stuff that goes into our head. Not only songs, of course. We get politics in our head, we get religion in our head, we get the voices of our friends and our parents and our families and our enemies, and we get visions and we get dreams and we get a lot of things that go into our head. All I'm saying is balance it with increasing the dose of lyrics you read that you put in your head that will mix with all this stuff. When you want to write a song, it will come in handy. Momento. So, as I'm saying, we should never really suffer from writer's block with these techniques. Again, every time you don't know what to say, ask yourself the same questions, or just flow and write everything that comes in your mind. Or read a book, or read lyrics again and again. I'll give you another example, since most of us here are not English speakers naturally, like our English is not our first language. A very good technique is to try and translate songs you like to your language. But then after you've done it, rewrite it in a way that it seems like you've written it in your language. Yeah? Remember this. You take a song that you really like, and then you translate it in a way that it's loyal to the original. It's the same like the original. and then change your translation by rewriting it into a song as if you've written it in your language with new rhymes. Doesn't matter if you change word here, word there, sentence here, sentence there. You've done this exercise, do it with another song and with another song. And eventually, when you think you master this, take a song, translate it and write it in your own language, and then change the subject of it. Change words until you completely change it, and then change the melody of it and make it your own song. You can do this. I can tell you a little secret. I don't know if it's a secret anymore, but most songwriters do this. Take songs and then twist them a little bit here, a little bit there, and make them their own. Yeah, I'm not saying this is what you should do. I'm saying this is a very good way to learn. It's by practicing writing other people's songs in your own way, in your own language. It's a craft that will come with practice, just like any other craft, just like cutting wood or like drawing or like carpentry, or I always think of carpentry because my father is a carpenter. But anything you do comes with practice and becomes much better skill if you are consistent and persistent. So you should never really think, I have nothing to say. You always have something to say. If it's not important enough to say in a song, if you don't think that it's strong enough, then you have to strengthen your ideas by reading, and not necessarily lyrics. You can read philosophy or literature or anything you like. And of course, lyrics doesn't have to be all sophisticated and all poetic and all political and all that. Personally, I believe in political music simply because I live in a political place where this is our reality, and I feel that if we don't pay attention to our reality and if we don't give it a certain amount of our work, I don't think that we are, I feel like a hypocrite, you know, or like we are isolated. I think that artists and singers, songwriters are part of society, part of their nation, and therefore should bear the responsibility and carry the weight with their nation. Whatever their burden is, our burden is the occupation as well as the patriarchy. These are two things that I constantly mention in my songs or bring up and talk about, not to be provocative, but I really believe that it is important to talk about these things. You don't really have to do this, but again, you don't have to write political music just like you don't have to go to every demonstration. It's a choice. I think it's the right choice. This being said, there are things that we also have to be careful of when we write lyrics. As we said, we have to think of every word. It's important really to remember that there is no freedom of expression or art anywhere in the world. Every culture has their taboos that you really need to know and to consider before you decide if you want to break these taboos or not. It's a choice. When you do artivism or political art and all that, you take that into account that you are a fighter and you're going for war. It doesn't matter what it's going to cost. So it's just like taking a gun, because as we said, songs, strong songs with strong lyrics can be a weapon because they can get people to do shit. They can be insightful and they can be inspirational, to say the more, the softer word. And that's a responsibility and a choice again. If you want to take this responsibility, if you want to be a fighter with your art. That's pretty much the main things we can say really about lyrics in general before we really dive into techniques, which I can do, of course, if you want me to. We'll leave most of the room for your questions. Honestly, because I believe I have a feeling that we can direct this talk better when we have guidings of your needs, you know, like to see what you guys really want to know. So please, I want to hear you. Feel free to ask me anything. I can give tips and help in many areas of writing songs. So whatever comes to your mind, feel free. Questions?
I have a question.
تفضل تامر.
Yeah, like when you write lyrics, like when you write a letter to yourself, you have an idea. Okay, I want to know how you develop it to a song.
How you turn the letter to yourself into a song?
Or how you write there like one verse or something, like you have only one part of the song, like how you turn it like to a full song. I have sometimes problem, I have only one verse and I cannot write the second verse of the song or something like this.
Okay, that's a good question. When you write the first verse, you already answered a question of what I want to say. The next question should be, what else do I want to say? Yeah. Is this all I want to say? And the next question after what else I want to say is this, what is this lyrics? Where is this lyrics going? You know, there's many ways to do it, but honestly, all you have to do is really throw in everything you have to say and just do the editing part. You can edit into like a verse of 4 lines, or I don't know how many lines you do in one verse in your case. But in general, you can write like 100 words and then take just 2 lines out of this. So the key is really writing a lot and editing a lot. The way to go into a second verse normally is when you have already an idea of what you want to say that can be in 2 verses. Yeah. But again, there are many tricks. One of the tricks, for an example, is going into metaphors. Yeah. Like for example, if in the first verse you say, my love is like water, it splashes on the stone. Now you have left me and I'm like water all alone, or something like that. The next line, you use a different metaphor. Yeah, my love is like a diamond, you know, and so on. And then just let the first words guide you where to go further. Just an example again. But what I'm saying is not different from what I said before, really. It will be easier when you do it more often. And sometimes when you're stuck, go read, simply just read something or do a research about the subject. Let's say you are writing about a crazy person, for an example, or someone who has some mental problem. And you write a few words about it. And then you go and make research about mental illness, watch some videos, read about them, and you have inspiration for the next line. I want to give you an example here of, I once saw a video on house demolition in Palestine. Yeah, people who are forced to destroy destroy their own house with their hands so that they don't have to pay the price of the demolition to the Israelis. Okay, so they go and hire the trucks and all that, the bulldozers, to destroy their house. This video really made me sad and made me frustrated and made me feel not very pleasant feeling. And I wanted to write something about it. And so I wrote something. I wrote a bunch of songs, really. But every time I got stuck with like, because it ended up like an album. I'm writing about house demolition in Palestine, like songs that talk about the same subjects with so many lyrics. I get stuck often with a verse here and a verse there. And what I do is actually go back to that video and other videos about house demolition and watch them and listen to the people. Listen to what they have to say, to the kid, to the wife, to the police, to the, you know, to the people who are just watching. Listen to their words, and from there I take it, you know. Then I just go into details of the people who are watching or the kids who are thinking of how to take revenge. You know, the idea here is, again, with creativity, I have to emphasize this point. You have in your brain two main functions that work together, and together they make a person creative or not, less creative or more creative. The two main functions are what we call divergent thinking. Divergent thinking is actually brainstorming. It's bringing all the ideas that come to mind. Like when you see this lighter, and you give me all the ideas that come to your mind. Lighter is black, lighter is beautiful, lighter is fire, lighter can burn the world, lighter can make me smoke, lighter is a friend of cancer. You know, like lighter is the friend, the burner of the cigarette. You can just throw everything that comes to your mind. And the lighter can breathe, lighter is burning our air, you know, and the more you do it, is the more you're expanding your divergent thinking. And the other function of the mind is called, what's it called? Conversional thinking. Conversional thinking is actually taking all this stuff that we did with diversional thinking and making sense out of it, or choosing this is good, this is bad, this can go with this can go with that, you know? Now, in general, we need as artists to pay attention to these two functions and work with them to optimize them. How do we optimize our brain functions? There are many online like sources that can help you really understand the neuroscience of your brain, of creativity, how it works and all that. And it's very helpful actually to know that. I would recommend a podcast of a guy, a neuroscientist called Andrew Huberman. I don't know if you know him, but he has this podcast that is called the Huberman Lab, in which he talks also about creativity and how to optimize your brain functions. I can give you a few tips that I've learned from him. For an example, try to write as early as you wake up in the morning. These hours, use these hours for creativity because they are the most creative hours. And before the coffee, because the coffee wakes you up. But use the coffee for editing, use the coffee for the conversional thinking, for selecting what is good and what is bad, for doing something or making sense out of what you have. When you already have an idea, but you just want to improve, you can take the coffee. But before that, write everything else. Write all your ideas. Okay, I hope I answered your question as much as I could.
Yes, thank you.
Next.
Yeah, I have a question.
Ruba, go.
Have you ever had the problem that you lose the vibe of when you started to write the song, and maybe stop writing and start another day, and then you lost the feelings when you started to write the song?
Yeah, you mean like if you cut the process of writing a song that hit you, and you cut and you come back, it's not there anymore.
Yes.
Of course, it happens because we change all the time, and we have like a certain state of mind in say certain environment that brings in a certain idea, you know, or a certain feeling, and we play with it. And I think that's why it's important to hit the iron while it's hot. يعني تضرب الحديد وهو حامي. It's important to capture these moments when you have things that are you feel that are good and workable, and work with them and try to finish. But you can't always finish everything in the same day. It hits you. But it's okay to come and edit it at some point. But the idea is to try and deliver to bring the main piece out on the first day that it hits you. And after that, you can edit. You can have as much time as you want for editing. You will never really lose it. If you lose interest completely, you just it's you changing, and you don't feel that is relevant to you anymore. You know, it happens. Okay.
Thank you.
Next.
I wanted to ask, okay, you're working on a collaboration with a few artists. So the first step was gathering some lyrics from and concepts from each participant. And now we have that. We're going to do a meeting. So what do you recommend taking the next step? It would be reading all the information, taking full sentences, or just having one concept and going with it?
It's a hard question. I never done this before. I'm the kind of person that likes to write alone. But of course, there are ways of doing that, of writing together. I think the key here is chemistry. I don't know how much chemistry you can have in a big group. You know, if you have two people that have a language to communicate together, they can easily do that. But with a group of many people, I think the way it would be is to read all the lines and to vote on lines that sound amazing, or you know, to kind of like choose together. Oh, this is nice. This is nice. And then try to make something out of it. That's one way. Another way is to divide yourself into groups, that each group take, you know, try to like write something else out of the same words. You know, like, I don't know how many people are you?
I would say actively 4 till 5 people. But who
Okay.
some people put in words, and we 4 or 5 we will edit. We're starting the editing process. Let's say.
Okay. In this case, what I would normally suggest is that you do it like in a row. Yani one does the editing and then forwards to the other, and if everyone who has an idea can add it on. But I think, I don't know really. I don't know how to write a song with 5 people. If you sit 5 people together and have something to say, it would be easier. I mean, if you know what you want to say, if you know what is the song about, and not just randomly people writing lyrics. Which reminds me, I don't know why I remember this now, but it's very important to avoid writing cliches. I think there's enough of it. And one way to do that, of course, you will pay attention, you'll see when a cliche is a cliche. But also, songs are artistic. I mean, it is, of course, similar to language and to the way we speak. But it's art. And it has to be sometimes not too direct and not too slogany, if you know what I mean. It has to have some twist. And sometimes this twist can be made by really changing the subject, or by using a crazy metaphor, or you saying something that is unpredictable. You know, it's important to notice what is predictable. You know, like sometimes you hear a rhyme and you know the next word of the singer. You know, like someone says, أنا بحب كل الناس. you automatically think of ihsas, right? You know, so don't. When you hear like these words come, shouldn't follow each other anymore. Khalas, we had enough of them. Okay, so similar stuff like that. I'm saying this now because, again, as we said, there is no definition, universal definition of what good lyrics is and what, but you can sense good lyrics and you can sense bad lyrics, and lyrics that has a lot of cliches is bad lyrics. I'll take the next question.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question.
Yeah.
This question, like when it comes to multilingual artists, so I wanted to ask you two questions, like what purposes language serves when it comes to structuring lyrics, and should we write in like a common language so we can globalize our work? Like, should we write in English? Should we just go with the flow? That's my question.
That's a good question. I think the knowledge of language is essential for writing lyrics, and the love for language makes it much easier to write lyrics if you have a passion for language. And to do that is normally easy when you have a passion for reading, really, if you read a lot. I like to think of language as a way to communicate. So it doesn't really matter what language you use as long as you are using the right language to communicate with your right target audience. It depends what you want. I write in Arabic, but I also write sometimes in English, and I wrote one song in Hebrew, or two songs. I released only one. But these are songs that I write in other languages other than my language, which is Arabic, are songs that I want to reach, or I want to say something to English speakers or to Hebrew speakers. So I feel that the best way to deliver this is in English. So normally I wouldn't sing a love song in English unless if it's for someone that doesn't speak Arabic, you know. But normally my political songs that are dedicated, let's take an example here. The song I released in 2019 in English was called Super White Man, in which I wanted to say something to white people, really, about refugees and about the Palestinian cause, because I was in Europe and it felt weird to be there during the refugee crisis, because everyone was afraid of me and afraid of refugees. I was not a refugee, but I looked like one. And I sang this song, I wrote it in English, and I wanted to say something to white people. So I started the song with saying, "Hello, white people. I hope you're doing fine. I got a message for you from Palestine," and so on. There was a song that I wanted to say to Israeli Mizrahis, like the Arab Jews, basically Israelis who are coming originally from Arab countries and who are practicing racism more than anybody else in the country. They're very hateful towards Palestinians. So I wrote a song to them in Hebrew with their accent, with their Mizrahi accent and with their kind of almost music style, to say this to them, to say basically that you hate Arabs because you are Arabs yourself and you've been hated, and etc. And then I did this one in Hebrew. I normally sing in Arabic and I try to sing in my Palestinian accent. Some songs I do in Fusha, either because I want more Arabs to know, to understand, or mostly because I also like the language. Simply, I feel that Fusha is very musical. You know, you can easily make music with it. So there are no rules, my friend. You can write songs with whatever language you want, as long as you know why you're doing it. This is the key. if it's just for fame and you don't feel natural singing in English, I wouldn't recommend you to do it, you know. But if you have something to say in English, or you have a project with people who are, you know, writing in English and stuff like that, it's fine. It's totally fine. You can do whatever you want at the end of the day. My personal preference is genuine music. Yeah, is that it's truthful, is that honest. It's the main thing that I look for in music, really, is honesty. And part of honesty is knowing where you come from, who you are and where you're from, and giving a place in your art for yourself and for the place you come from. I think it's important in the years of globalization, in this era, that we preserve our languages and our cultures, and at least through art, you know. I personally also use art as a way to document what is happening in the world, in our lives, you know, because I think that people in many years from now, when they will look for information about us, or when they want to learn about us, they will find history books and they will find, you know, all kind of news reports. But I believe that they will believe the songs much better, because songs tend to be more honest than news and history books. And I like to keep it that way. And part of that preservance is doing it in our languages. I'll give you a tip. I also, like, when I do live music, I put subtitles on the back, on the wall, yeah, like I present subtitles in real time, like someone is pressing on every line I sing the translation to English. That gets people to understand what we're singing about and gets them more involved. And it's a way to overcome the barrier of language. Also, for people who don't understand your language, when they understand what you're singing, but still observe you performing in your own language, feeling comfortable and natural with it, they enjoy it much better than singing to them in English in a way that they don't really identify the accent right, or don't hear it right, or feel that you are not comfortable in doing this. I mean, of course, if you are a master of the English language and you can do it and you feel natural because you come from there, or for any reason, you know, like my first album, for an example, I did, and that was many years ago, we're talking 1999, it was in English. It was in English because until that point, I almost didn't hear music in Arabic, and I didn't try to sing in Arabic. Everything I read, everything I wrote or I heard was in English. So I felt that it's just natural. Every time I take the guitar and I say something, it comes out in English. It felt natural, you know? And after a while, it just started to feel weird. The more I got involved into politics and more I got involved into my own society and my own culture, I was maturing up and becoming less isolated and less universal in a way. I started to feel that I want to express myself in Arabic. It was a challenge because writing in English is much easier when you know, when you can, you know, when you know English. Especially alternative music. And we're talking 30 years ago when there was almost no reference of how to write in Arabic. You know, you couldn't listen, like there was no one else who's doing it. The closest person that was doing this, I think, was Ziad al-Rahbani. You know, and it was the most alternative thing in back in the day. And that was not alternative enough. It was not like rock music or rap music or anything like that, you know. And there I had to experiment with it and learn it myself. And I developed a very strong love to the language after working with it so long. Because now you know the words, you really know them, you know their syllables, you know how to play with them, how to twist them, what rhymes with them, what is their beat, you know, where they can go. And it becomes a fun game when you master it, you know. So I think language is important, and playing with language is nice. You can enjoy it, and it will help you also with the music, because words have melodies and determine the beat sometimes of the song. I will give one tip that is important advice, especially to Arabic musicians. When you're doing like Western music, let's call it, or alternative music, music that is not originally maqam music, yeah, not Arabic music. When you're doing that with Arabic language, make sure not to manipulate the language in a way to fit the music, but if you have to, if they don't work together, manipulate the music to fit the language. What I mean by this is to respect the language in the sense that to pay attention to the syllables and to the emphasis and to the beat of every word. Like you can say, for an example, بحبك, yeah, like بحبك, you know, بحبك, because your melody is بحبك, والله, you know. No, in this case you need to know that the word بحبك is not بحبك. Yeah, you say بحبك, you can do that, you know. That's my opinion, because of course when you put this together in sentences, when you don't pay attention to the language and to the unique syllables and sounds of your language, it comes out in a way phony, like fake. You know what I mean? When you hear the song, you hear that it's trying to be, it's a wannabe, it's an American song with Arabic language. No, what I prefer to do is to twist the music to make it sound natural with the language. Even if you change the beat, even if you change anything. I'll give you an example. I have this song that is a cover I did for Nirvana. Nirvana's song Dam. Yeah, in Arabic I call it Bay Mahbalni. Now, when I translate it, the Arabic is different from the English. You can't do it on the same chords. You can do it on the same beat, but it sounds like you're pushing the words. They don't sound as natural as when he's singing it in English. So I took the same chords, but I changed the beat. So it becomes, instead of I'm not like them, but I can pretend, you know the song. So I changed the beat to Arabic beat. It becomes like this. مش مثل الكل أنا بس بعرف أمثل لو غابت الشمس نور يكفي. And you hear, it sounds like I'm singing a song that was written in Arabic. You know, the language is divided in a way that is respecting the language. If I wanted to do it with the same melody as Nirvana, it will be like, he says, I'm not like them, or I can pretend, yeah. You know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about here, is respecting or appreciating your language in a way that you see the aesthetics of it and try to make them work for your side, for your benefit. So learning the language, the Arabic language, spoken or Fusha or whatever, doesn't matter. I think we should all work with it, work with our language, with the way we speak about and write about the things we talk about naturally, not make it over sophisticated. Thank you. Next question.
Okay, I will go on. Maybe my question is less about techniques and more about perception.
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
It goes and comes. Okay, again.
Is it more consistent now?
لا فرح جربي السماعات.
Is it good now?
Yes.
Better.
Okay. I said my question is more about perception rather than techniques, which is what do you think, like amongst you songwriters, what do you think are conventional criteria for evaluating lyrics? Because like for as I hear in the way I think of it, it's like the more literary lyrics is, the higher the quality. So if we were to think of a very high quality lyrics under this kind of perception, we would think of poetry, because poetry is like literary lyrics. So this is how I think of it. This is my perception of it. This is what I think is like a way to evaluate lyrics. So if you have a similar response, like if you think also that the more lyrics has metaphors and comparisons and so on and so forth, what makes lyrics in itself like unique, aside from the fact that it complements music? So why not just view it the way we view poetry? So it's like we're comparing high quality lyrics to poetry. I don't know whether you got all so many questions at the same time.
Yes, it is actually, يعني it can be confusing sometimes. Really, what is the difference between poetry and lyrics, except for the part that it's accompanied by music? I would say that poetry, as started to say, has rules. Even modern poetry in Arabic, that seems like it doesn't have rules or doesn't have rhymes. It has rules. It has beats. It has what we call in Arabic بحور الشعر. There are different بحور. Each bahar is like a beat or like a count of syllables. Yeah, فعول فعول فعول. You know these. I don't know if you heard them, but that is poetry. And of course, just like we have maqams, you know, like which is almost like scales, yeah, equal to scales in Western music. We have the maqams and we have the buhur al-sha'r. So there are ways to write poetry, and there are ways to write melodies. Melodies you write with maqams, poetry you write with buhur al-sha'r. Lyrics don't obey to this buhur al-sha'r, to these beats of a classical poetry or modern poetry. It has rules of its own that are much more free, that go with the music. You can change them, you can create them in different lengths and ways. And mainly it's also the structure of verses and chorus that repeats, and maybe a bridge and stuff like that. Lyrics doesn't have to be very deep like poetry normally is. You know, lyrics can really be about easy things, and it can be a few lines that just repeat themselves, you know. But of course, poetry can be made into music, and good lyrics can really be compared to poetry. It's not very different from each other. There is normally a collaboration between poetry and lyrics. Between poetry and music, poets and musicians. It happens and it's fine, but it's not exactly the same. I mean, lyrics is a world of its own that exists among musicians. You can be a great lyrics writer, but not a great poet. It needs also understanding of music in a different way. And I think the idea here is with lyrics is that it really doesn't have to be all that sophisticated like poetry. Poetry is a bit more complicated, I think. And in general, when you what makes a good lyrics, and that's back to your to your question, yeah. Well,
Yes.
I don't think there is really strict rules for good and bad lyrics, but there are certain elements.
Sure, but like, yeah, I am asking about your own perception of like
Yeah.
how maybe
My
ways.
my understanding of it, like I have my own categories of what lyrics does it to me. What lyrics is more appealing to me, you know, than others. Of course, I can tell you this lyrics is shitty about certain things that are shallow, for an example, too shallow for me, or too fake, phony. You know, that doesn't sound honest. Yeah, as I said before, I look for honesty in music and lyrics that are engaging, that are relatable, poetic in a way, meaningful. You know, it has a meaning, that are smart, but not too like smart ass. You know, like smart in a wit way, that are not too direct and not overly mysterious. And this is what I buy as good lyrics, you know, that grabs me. Like I told you about that song on the radio, just with these two lines, I was like hooked. I was in the middle of a conversation, but I stopped the conversation, listened to the song, because the first line grabbed me by just saying, "You're only as pretty as you feel. You're only as pretty as you feel inside." You know, it's just sometimes good lyrics also is about the listener who decides what is good for them. If that rings something, if that hits the right nerve, you know, maybe I felt that this lyrics, maybe it's not very strong for you, the one I just mentioned about you're only as pretty as you feel. But to me, because I've been talking about this a lot, and I heard girls and women especially talking about this, and we like dealt with this issue of beauty on the inside and outside, and our world that is with its beauty standards and the self insecurity and all that, you know, all these topics. Like I've been dealing with them with my in my thoughts and in my conversations, and then this song comes on the radio and I feel it, you know. So for me it meant something that made this lyrics good lyrics, you know. But it doesn't have to be for you. Like, I mean, it's really a matter of taste sometimes. Of course, there are standards that we can agree on in general, you know. But we can't force someone to like something they don't like it, or to not like something they like it. You know, I don't like all the rap verses that go praising the ego, you know, for an example, just me, but that's my personal taste. Yeah, I don't buy it. It doesn't work for me. But that doesn't make there's a whole genre of this, and millions of people listening to this kind of lyrics and competing of who can write more praising of self lyrics. You know, it's a world, it's a niche that just doesn't get me. But I don't get it. But I can't say that it's bad or bad. Even this, if it's not likable but can be written in a good way, you know, you can hear it with, of course, like you said, with good metaphors, or various metaphors, or good play with words. There are many ways, aesthetics, that can make the lyrics stronger or weaker.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll take more questions.
Hey, hi. Do you hear me? Hello? Oh, there's the music. I cannot do anything about it. Is my voice low, like high enough to hear me? Yeah? Okay. No, God. I'm not gonna rhyme with it now. I'm trying. yeah, I want to like ask about something with your experiences of writing. I never like really write lyrics myself, but I worked with artists that like were trying to write, and they have this block. But I noticed that there's a thing about kind of a pressuring to the person to meet certain standards sometimes. This like depends on the content, like the context that you are in. If you're in like in a political like area, that means that you need to, you know, write for this like specific issue. Or
Yeah.
if you some other people would like have a pressuring from like, you know, kind of capitalism standards of making music, because competition is really difficult. So you need to you know, to succeed, kind of you need to meet like certain standards. So there's like kind of a pressure on the artist to meet these standards. So this can like kind of make a block. They don't hear themselves. They just, there's like conflict between the inside and the outside. There's like voices from outside who judge you kind of, or expect something from you. And like if you want to make them like, you know, kind of accept your music or like take your music, you need to meet these standards. So you'll find yourself like melting in their standards more and more. So I don't know, I also like a lot of your music are like kind of political, they're sarcastic in a nice way, in an authentic way. So you don't feel like it's over sarcastic or it's over political, you know, it's like in the middle, and this is really nice. But like kind of my question, how did you find yourself with this kind of issue? Like, have you ever find yourself, like, for example, I'm saying like, if someone like in this situation, but they don't feel it, you know, they're like so dissociative to the limit that they don't feel it. They don't feel exactly the problem, or they don't interact with the problem. So have you ever felt yourself like pressure to make a certain song or music or write just to, you know, to talk about specific issue that's happening and you don't feel it yourself, and you have to like, you know, put yourself in this position to write, so people expect from you to write something that politically, like, you know, intellectually high, like, you know, kind of. So I don't know,
Yeah.
like, I don't know.
I understand. Well, this is a tough question, because the main problem here is judgment. Yeah, judgment can create this block, and the taking judgment into account. This is a modern problem, mainly by like in the era of social media, you get to have this interaction with your audience or with your potential audience, and as well as your competitors, you know, or your enemies in the hip hop scene. But and you get to see them all, and you get to compare yourself all the time to other artists and to how they're doing with the following and with the views and all that, and how you're doing. And this will of course create the pressure on you. Okay, so what are they doing that I have to do, or that I'm not doing right, or stuff like that. That's where you fall into this trap, but there's no really way to avoid it completely. We all fall into it. I wanted to give you a small insight, really. But my first album, that was in English, until today, and I've released at least another 7 or 8 albums since then. Until today, I feel that it is my most genuine album. Why? Simply because I did not have any idea about who is going to listen to it. I didn't know. I didn't know musicians. I didn't know audience. I didn't know society. I knew nothing. I was in my room and just collecting these songs. I've been working on them for years, since I started learning the guitar, you know, and just trying to make something out of them, very experimental. And I was free to play with them completely in a way that I didn't even obey to certain rules of songwriting, or to pop music or to rock music by the time, simply because I really didn't know that much music. You know, that was almost before the internet. So they came out alternative, and they came out unique and all that, simply because they had less influence and less expectations, less interaction with people. I can never repeat that experience, because after my first album, they wrote about it, and people now expect something from me, you know. And now I know the people. I go out and play live, and this guy comes and tells me, "Oh, this song is your best, and this song is that. I didn't like this one. I didn't like that one." This stays in your head, you know. You take it, no matter how strong you think you are. These things affect you, and when they hit you with hate messages for certain songs, or hate comments, or shit like that, or you get threats, or you get imprisonment, or you get interrogated, or whatever, you more and more start to change the way you write, and change to get to feel this pressure. And of course you get to this block sometimes. But if what is causing the problem of the block is the interaction with people, is the comparison to others, and the expectations of everyone, maybe the solution should come from there as well, you know. I mean, of course, it's like it's easy to say, don't compare yourself, don't care about where you get and what people you do, stick to what is right and what you believe in. It's easy to say, but it's hard really to do in this world of that is high competition, and you're looking to find your place. Personally, I want to, if you want me to speak about my experience with writing political songs and all that, and how come it's not as like it doesn't sound pushed or artificial, or because I never felt that I have to do it. You know, I never felt that I have to write a song about this now because this is the trend now. You know, unfortunately, I normally I write songs that come out on average about 5 years after I write them. You know, they're not relevant to actual news or to what's happening normally. Like, I try to write them in a way that they can live on. You know, it doesn't matter when you really release them, or what's the direct thing that caused this direct line or birth of that song or that. So normally, and that is also important, you have to feel it. If you don't feel it, it's gonna come out like someone is trying too hard, you know? And how to feel it, that's another question. You have to work on yourself of how to feel in general. But you have to look in the areas that make you feel. What makes you feel? You know, I personally, the more I grow is the more I feel the pain of others, especially people that share the same culture and language and background and history as myself. And I find myself identifying with stories of Palestinians, even that are not similar to my story, you know? Like, we don't have a wall, and we don't have checkpoints, and we don't have I don't have any family members in prison, and I don't have my house threatened to be demolished, you know. But these are stories that my people are facing in other places, and I read about this. And when something that I read touches me, I try to see what it did to me, and ask myself, okay, what do I feel? What do I want to say, and to who? The same questions I did. This is what I did with that project I told you guys about with the house demolition. Yeah, an album that I call Haqq al-Hadim, I'm working on right now. It's really because of that one video I saw of a guy that has hired people to come and destroy his house, and paid them so that he doesn't pay doubles to the Israelis. And that just feeling of someone having to destroy his house with his hands, it stayed with me, and it inspired me to write a lot about it, and just like see it from all angles, you know. So the key here of how to write it and make it seem natural, make it feel natural before you write it. You have to feel it, and that's my opinion. You really have to feel. Now, the best songs, in my opinion, are based on true stories. If it's not your story, if your life is boring and you don't have stories that are interesting enough to become songs, get interested in other people's stories, in other people's song miseries sometimes, if you like, you know, because not everyone has a voice. You have a voice when you have music. You know, you have a voice, and therefore you have a responsibility to bring out the voices of those who don't have the voice. And if that is the drive, if I come out from that principle, that there are people without a voice and I have a voice, it's different from there are people talking about politics, I have to talk about politics. You know what I mean? The people who are just doing this for the competition, you will always, I don't know if you, but I will definitely hear that they are fucking bullshitting. Okay? But when it's coming out of a real activism, if you like, you know, it's activism. I mean, you do go to demonstrations. I don't know if you do, but at least when I was your age, I did. You know, I do, to be part of the national struggle for freedom. You know, everyone does his job. Yeah, everyone has their strong sides and weak sides. I feel that my creativity is my strong side, so I use it. I use it for the struggle of my people, you know, as much as I can. Some people have bigger muscles than me. They use their muscles. Some people can make whatever, let's not talk here. But you know what I mean? Everyone has their role and their responsibility to take that role. It's social responsibility. And I believe we are not an exclusion as musicians or as writers or as artists in general. We are not an exclusion of society. So again, what I believe the best way to get over this is to make it your story, to make it personal, you know, and also to write it in a personal way, you know, like even, I'll give you an example. I don't know if you know my song, في حضن الاحتلال. Yeah. Now, if you had in the arms of occupation, it's a song mainly that talks about the Arab Spring and how the Arab Spring was disappointing at some point when, you know, it's mainly Islamists coming out of these revolutions and limiting the freedoms of the people. That's not what we were hoping for. You know, there was that feeling. And then ISIS were coming up and it was starting to get scary. And then I got imprisoned in Jordan, detained because they accused me of insulting religion. ازدراء الأديان. And then after that imprisonment, I came back through the checkpoint, Sheikh Hussein or Malik Hussein or whatever. And there I saw the Israelis. And for a moment, just for a small moment, I felt safe in the arms of occupation. And it made me feel very sad, that feeling. And that's the song I wrote about, that feeling that came from a direct first-hand experience. You know, I was prisoned there and here I was welcome. And here I can sing whatever I want. Not really, yeah. I can't really sing against the occupation directly if I want to. But I started the song with the word shufi, with shufi kif. I'm talking to someone. I'm not talking in general. Hey, the Arab Spring came out to be shit, can't you see? You know, no. I started with look how. And then in the end, I ended ولا حدا يحبسني ولا حدا يلمسني إلا حبيبي. It's also personal, you know. So you make the political personal. It makes it more genuine. Okay. Next. Anyone else? Anything else?
I would just want a small question. Okay, I feel like we're sometimes censored in the shadow of occupation, at least people who live inside. So sometimes I feel like I'm out of the scene of Palestinian music writers. I don't reach as much as other people reach. So I wanted to ask you if you have any recommendation about an artist who you see upcoming or you listen to a new production that has a good storytelling or sound or lyrics, because I find it hard to reach, because social media is just like trends, and you go searching, you can't find something.
Yeah. From Palestine, you mean?
It could be Palestine, it could be Arab scene, it could be also foreign language.
I must say that lyrics, unfortunately, so far hasn't been the strong side of the alternative scene, the Arabic alternative scene, especially not the Palestinian one. Yeah, it's not a very strong side of and that's very unfortunate. Simply because we have all it takes. You know, we have all the stories, and we can feel it firsthand. We can experience it every day. It's all over the news. It's just right before your eyes everywhere you go, you know. Art should come from here so naturally, like rain, you know. But I think one of the problem is that we are isolated in a way. Like when we come to do art, we isolate ourselves from, like, we take it as an escapism, as a way to get out of here, and we want to be pop outside this world, outside this country. Like, you know, unfortunately, the lyrics or the music of modern days sound the same everywhere. I mean, the Palestinian trap is very similar to the French trap and to the Italian trap and all that. Just the language changes, the same effects, the same beats, and the same stuff. And the same lyrics, or the same kind of content. You know, I hear it in English, I hear it in Hebrew, I hear it in Arabic, and it's kind of like a caricature. Honestly, it's funny when you hear on the radio a guy in Hebrew going up and bragging about his powerful lyrics or his powerful muscles and shit like that, and you hear the same thing in Arabic or in English. You know, it's like a joke. It becomes like a joke. But honestly, I don't know many modern lyrics writers in Arabic that I really like. You know, I can't. You tackled me with this question. I can't think of anyone really.
That's the problem, because now the scene is like in Egypt and Jordan, mostly rap, and also praising about words that the words themselves are only praising about the words that don't exist at some point.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a hustle to find something that's good to listen to, that speaks about what you want to speak about.
Yeah, but again, I say read lyrics. It doesn't have to be in Arabic, and do the exercise I told you about by trying to translate these lyrics and then try to make it as if you wrote it in Arabic, and then write new music for it and then change the lyrics, you know, completely. This is one way, and keep looking. I mean, just find one you like, their music or something, and then read their lyrics also in Arabic. I'm really trying to think hard of someone. Well, I will send you if I find. I'm sure there are. There are many good ones, really, but not Palestinians for sure. I don't like lyrics here, most of it. But again, I'm hard. I'm like, my judgment is high. Like because I come from passion to lyrics as a reader and as a writer, because this is my strong side. This is what I look for in music. This is what grabbed me into Pink Floyd and the Beatles and Nirvana and all that, was this very thing that is called lyrics, and then how they do it with music. You know, that the lyrics there, when you read it, you get a picture, you know, an interesting picture that you don't see normally unless when you read these lyrics, you know. And maybe that's the answer of what is a good lyrics, you know. It's the one that draws a good picture, but that's also an answer for what is good poetry, I think. So yeah, I mean, I would be too self-centered to go tell you I write good lyrics. Go listen to, go read my songs. But honestly, I've been writing for 30 years. I've released many songs. like dozens of songs in Arabic and in many aspects in politics and society and personal songs and love songs and disappointment songs, whatever songs, philosophical songs and all that in Arabic and English. I think there is a lot you can find there. Some of my songs are being taught in many places, you know, like either on politics or on sociology, or some are being taken as actually to teach Arabic to people around the world, and especially in Israel by Israelis. I get tagged every now and then with a group of Israelis singing my song in class and shit like that. But yeah, so that's the only example I can come up with right now. Unfortunately, I wish I could point at a few more people that I like their lyrics here. Rasha Nahas is good, but she writes in English. Her lyrics in English is much better, simply because she only started writing in Arabic, but it will get better. I know, I can see it's getting better, you know?
I listened to a few songs she released. I hope it's getting
Yeah. Good one.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. Before we go, I will give another tip because I forgot to say this one, is to pay attention. Pay attention to what you hear. I mean, you will always hear something that can be a song, you know? A line, just take any line that just you hear from somebody that grabs your ear, you know? Just like someone says, for an example, but everything is fast nowadays. Yeah, just someone you pass by and you hear this, and then you take this line. Everything is fast nowadays, but everything is fast nowadays. You make this your chorus, and then answer this with like if this is the answer, what are the questions? You know, I want to get from this point to that point, but then you write, and then you come to the chorus, but everything is fast nowadays, and so on. Okay, what I mean is if you pay attention, you will hear inspiration everywhere. Because remember, everything that makes sound, everything that makes a movement makes a sound. And sounds have together the ability to make melodies. If you really listen, you'll find melodies inside the silence. There is no such thing as nothing. There's always some sound. And same thing with words, with lyrics, is they are everywhere. Everywhere you look, if it's in the news, if it's in the news feed, if it's in what your mother says, what your friend says, take your chats with your friends and you will find ideas there for lyrics, you know? So many times I go back to chats and find lines, you know? But again, it is how the more you read, is the more these things come naturally. Even in your chats, suddenly you find more wisdom, you find more coherence in the way you write, you know? So the key here is to develop yourself as a person, as a mind, as a brain, and to get the best out of that brain. And honestly, by also optimizing like physically your brain, by knowing how much you should sleep and what kind of food you should eat and work out and meditation and all this stuff that you hear about is super useful for creativity. I can't even emphasize enough how much and how important it is. But again, pay attention to your thoughts, to your feelings, to your words, to everybody else around you, what they say, you know. Just take a small exercise, for an example, talk to someone, record the conversation. You can record phone calls, yeah, and then listen to it. And you will find lines there. You will find lines there. And also you can find melodies there because someone will say to you, but I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to do it. You already have the melody, you know? So what I'm saying, don't look too hard. It's there. You just have to pay attention with words and with music. The rest is editing. Thank you. Anyone else before we go? Tfaddal. Yes, Rikunis, go ahead.
Yes. Do you hear me? Yeah, I think we all have different problems in different ways. To me, it's easy to write and also easy to rap. But to me, it's difficult how to make beats. That makes me crazy. Sometimes
How
I
to make
imagine
what?
beats, the melody, the beat. Sometimes I imagine I cannot play an instrument, I cannot play guitar, anything. I can't. I cannot sing well, but I can rap.
Sorry, maybe
that's
that you off the camera. Maybe better.
You can hear me?
Can't really hear
I
you.
can't hear you properly. Try to switch off the camera, just because maybe it's better. Okay.
Wait.
Okay.
Now?
Yes, it's better. Thanks. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah, my problem sometimes is make beats. I don't know how to make it. You know, I imagine the melody inside my head, but I try to make the melody. It doesn't work.
Okay. If you mean to make a melody to record it, that doesn't work, or the melody doesn't work with the lyrics you made.
No, to record it. To record it. Yes.
Well, this needs a bit of knowledge in mainly music theory, I think. You know.
Yes.
Or need to know some music, but the idea here is that you can record your voice. Yeah.
Yes.
You can record your voice and then tune it with what's it called? What's the tuner called? The application for fixing the auto tune, you know, and stuff like that. But yeah, if you tune it, it becomes a clear melody, and then you can find the notes because it says the notes. Like when you analyze the audio and then see the tune of it, like this note should be do and this note should be mi. Then you can play instruments with the beat that have similar notes or the same notes. But you need some understanding of musical theory that will help you know that this melody works with this bass or with this chord, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah, I would try my best. That's why we all have different problems.
Yeah, but it is a problem of, I don't know if it's a problem of, it's not a problem, but it's a question for production and for musicality. And these are two things that you can definitely develop. It's workable. It's learned skills. It's musicality or being able to play an instrument or how to understand music theory in a way that you can translate your own ideas into recorded music. There are many ways to learn that. I think online, if you just go on Google and find the step-by-step production or composition, composing, you know.
Yes,
okay, anyone else?
I will go on. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Oh, I didn't turn on my camera anyway.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
okay, I'm Farah. So my question is, from your experience, which artists you think are more impactful? Ones that maybe create several successful songs, or ones that have like a word of their own, like their own motifs, their own symbols, this like they have a particular unique pattern of music or of lyrics?
I mean, these are two different ways to to be successful or to be in general as an artist. I wouldn't say this is good or this is bad.
Yeah, it's not particularly about success. It's more like about impact.
Well, impact is easy to measure, you know, by knowing how many people you are reaching, I guess. Especially nowadays, it's easy to find the indicators for what we call commercial success. If we're talking about impact for the long run,
yeah,
then I would say it's songs that live on, you know, people who write songs that live on, a few good songs that because the artist can die, the artist and their style and their ideas, not their ideas, but their looks and whatever world they invent, they can all go away. What is left at the end of the day is the songs, you know. And people who leave good songs behind that can be relatable after for generations, I think that's more impactful. That's more influential, and that's why the Beatles are influential, you know, because their songs are still relevant in many ways to many people.
okay, so timeless songs.
Sorry, more songs? Yeah.
No, I said, so you mean timeless songs?
Timeless songs, yeah, exactly. But that's also, again, my own opinion, and it's not a very intellectual one. I didn't really do the studies, but that's how I feel, at least, about music, that people who have these timeless songs that you can always find relevant, they have the influence and the impact that is stronger. And not necessarily just by lyrics, also by music, yeah? If that's what you meant, like
Yeah.
also the people you mean with the genre or with the music style that is special. This also stays, but again, music is easier to evolve. Music, you know, like people, music has changed so much more than lyrics along the years. I mean, of course, lyrics also has changed. The way we write lyrics now than we did in the 60s is different. But the way we make music now is much more different than the way we made music in the 60s. So lyrics live for a longer time. But again, after all, lyrics is important, but we are making music. Let's not forget that. It has to be artistic. It has, in my opinion, it has to be unique. It has to be beautiful in a way. It's music. It's art. You know, it's not poetry. Music is not less important than the lyrics, and it's not just the frame of the lyrics. Music is part of the picture. It's the main part of the picture, and it goes hand in hand with good lyrics.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? No. So, is there anyone lifting their hands? Okay.
There are some ends, no?
خلاص, okay. So I want to thank you all for coming and participating in this. And I hope you continue the search after ways to improve the skill of writing lyrics, and not only writing lyrics, of developing your art and evolving with your art through evolving with your mind and with your soul in whatever way that feels natural for you. Again, I say do the research. There are very good ways that you can find online of how to optimize the work of your mind, how to be more creative, how to write songs. It's the kinds of songs you can write. All this is available. But the main thing you need to work on is yourself, is to enrich your mind. Remember one thing, what comes in is what comes out. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your Thanks to the speaker and thanks to all the participants for attending this workshop, despite all the difficulties until the end, so numerous, okay, because we are a lot of, so thank you so much for your lesson.
Thank you. I hope you all learned something.
For the questions, so thank you. Oh, sorry, my cat is a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
Thanks as well. So see you next week on the
Thank you. See you
at the same time, same schedule. Okay. Sorry, but it's a little bit. Okay.
No worries. Bye bye.
Bye. See you.
Everyone, bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.